welcome to you. My name's Dayle and this is DaylesAddiction. This is part 2 of the Handbag Etiquette series as requested by Hans. Hi Hans. In part 1, which I will link above and in the description box below, we talked about etiquette for the handbag carrier. And this is part 2 because part 1 went way too long, and this is etiquette for the civilian. For the people that don't share the same high regard for their handbags, luxury or not. So, without further ado, I've got a handful of common etiquette challenges for the civilian that I want to offer some suggested alternatives to. And, you know, if you've got some something to add here that you commonly use, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Right. I'm going to start at the bottom of my list and work my way back to the top, so stay tuned to the end. The first one, but this came from a handbag lover, but I've put it in the civilian box because it could be a civilian, is gawking and screaming and telling the person carrying the handbag, "Oh my God, I love your bag." Now, it may come as no surprise to you that the person who asked this question or raised this topic was none other than Winnie B. LV, because this is something that she does all the time and she wanted to know if it was acceptable. Certainly if Winnie came running up to me and gawked and squealed that she loved my handbag, I'd welcome it with open arms. But on the contrary, some of you said that you've had people come up to you and ask to take a selfie with your handbag and to touch it. Like, that's next level. So if we address Winnie's query first, look, I am somebody who always appreciates a compliment on something I'm wearing from a total stranger. I just think it's really nice when people have the courage out of the blue to say, "Hey, I really love that dress you're wearing. Like, is it current season? Where can I get it from? Oh, I love your shoes. I've been looking for a pair of shoes like that. I was in the Chanel boutique and I saw a woman with the Chanel denim flap that I now have." This one, and I was looking for it, and it wasn't, it wasn't in the store any longer, but I was looking for it through a reseller. And I said to her, "Oh my God, I love that bag and I missed out on it. Do you love it?" And she said, "Oh, I absolutely love it." And I said, "You're wearing it crossbody?" She said, "It's a great length for crossbody." She opened it up. She gave me a tour of the bag in Chanel. I didn't ask for it, but she did. And had I not asked the question, I would never know. And then when the bag came up, I wouldn't have been able to pounce on it as quickly as I did. So, Winnie, in my opinion, go for it. So then let's address that other query, which is it okay to ask the handbag carrier to have a selfie with their handbag and not them? I don't know. Like, if it's a total stranger, I'm probably going to say, if you're somewhere secure where they can't snatch it and run off with it, what the heck? Like, have fun. If it's not somewhere secure or you don't feel okay with it, absolutely not. Or on the condition that I'm in the photo too. Oh, okay, really? People do that? Can I pretend like that I have a Birkin? Can I borrow your Birkin so I can take a selfie and flex on Instagram? Honestly. Okay. This next one is a very real challenge, and I mentioned it very briefly in part 1, which is if you're at a restaurant and your handbag gets damaged because food or drink gets spilt on it, who's responsible for that? Look, I think if you've put your bag on the table, that's your own risk. And people moving your bag when it's on the table to set food down is probably a clear indication that your bag is in the freaking way. And if you haven't taken the hint that these plates are heavy, I'm going to move your bloody bag for you, right? Apologies for the language, but you can imagine wait staff and ignorant people with stuff all over the table and trying to put down heavy plates of food when you haven't even looked up to notice that they need a hand and move your bag out of the way. So if your bag gets damaged in that situation, I think you probably need to work on your spatial awareness skills. If your bag gets damaged in a situation like I was in, where I was leaving a restaurant, and I had literally just picked up this bag in Milan. I was leaving a Japanese restaurant in Melbourne, and I was carrying the bag on the crook of my arm. A waitress was looking down. She looked up and stopped suddenly, so she didn't run into me. But a dish of soy sauce came flying off the plate that she was carrying, the empty dish, the dirty dishes, and went straight on my bag and all the way down. And we both just looked at each other and went... And anyway, she provided me with cloth. Lucky it was Saffiano leather. She provided me with cloths and gave me a space to go clean it. And... because she wanted to clean it, but she didn't want to touch it. Anyway, it was fine. It smelled like soy sauce for a little bit, but it was fine. In that case, if there'd been ongoing damage, I really don't know what right I would have had to have asked for any compensation. I think everything's at your own risk. If you buy these things, accidents happen. It's like luxury clothing, you don't know what could happen to it. You could spill spaghetti sauce on it and... what are you going to do? Sue the spaghetti sauce company? I think we're a bit litigious. I think we've got to take a bit of responsibility for the risk that we take. And yeah, but as I said, usually when I'm at a restaurant in part one, I put my handbag under my chair because it's the least likely place that anything food or drink related is going to get on it. But certainly exiting a restaurant, I did not expect to be covered in soy sauce. Okay, when you're at a friend's place or a family member's place and you take your luxury bag, it might just be... My dog keeps barking because everyone is walking their dogs at the moment and she is on border patrol and it's really annoying. So I might just go to a casual barbecue and I might take this bag, and my friend might have their bag on their dining table, and so I put my bag next to their bag. And then they decide they want to use the dining table as a servery for the barbecue. And they grab my bag and they put it over, chuck it over on the couch, or they throw it in the spare room on the bed. And when I go looking for it, they say, "Oh yeah, I just threw it on the couch," or it's in the spare bedroom on the bed. And I go in and it's face down and the straps are all on it, and I'm just like, please don't touch our bags. Just ask us to move them. Whether it's luxury or not. Usually your handbag is carrying your most personal possessions, your ID, your money, things like that. So I think whether it's a luxury bag or not, just ask us to move it and we will. We're getting down to the final two now. The question that often comes up from people who maybe have never bought a luxury bag but are wanting to is it real? Is it real? Is that what I think it is? And I just empathise with people. I think it's sweet. Rather than getting offended, because if I get offended, it's just my ego that's speaking rather than what they're actually saying. You think I would buy a fake bag? So it's not about that. Let's just say I'm going to say that it's not about that. This is the bag that I get asked, is it real, the most. And it's usually because I'll take it to a networking event where I don't need to take a tote bag. I want something that's a bit smaller, that's easier to carry on my shoulder when I'm having drinks, if it's an evening thing, or if it's a breakfast thing. It's usually a sit down, a keynote, a bit of discussion, and then move around the room and network with people. And it'll be people that I kind of know, and they'll notice my bag and they'll say, "Is that Chanel?" And I say, "Yeah, it is." And they go, "Is it real?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And they're like, "Oh, can I look at it?" And then we have a bit of a chat, and then we move on. I know that it can be offensive sometimes, and I think you've just got to put yourself in the position of the person who's asking, which is perhaps it's something that they aspire to, because they know what it is. So if you can come at it from that perspective, I think it's less offensive. That's how I deal with it. And the big question that a lot of people wanted to know was asking someone how much their bag is worth. Now, civilians, there's a few ways you can do this. You can do it in the very passive-aggressive way, where you say, that's the equivalent of my car on your arm, which I don't appreciate. Or, gee, it must be nice to have enough money to carry a Chanel bag around. Again, comment I don't appreciate. If someone says, "Oh, I love that bag. Do you mind if I ask, like, where did you buy it?" And I can then say, "Oh, I bought it in the boutique a few years ago." Or the truth for me is I bought it pre-loved through a consignment store in Melbourne. Then the next question is inevitably, "Can I ask how much you paid for it?" Now, if it's like that, I'll say, "Yeah, absolutely. I bought it 3 years ago and it was $5,500. It was in great condition, full set. I highly recommend buying consignment." And it's done. If they say, "Is that a Chanel bag?" "Yes." "Can I ask where you got it from?" "Oh, I bought it in the boutique." "How much was it?" "Well, you have the internet." Right? You know how much it is. So look at me just banging my camera around everywhere. Look, don't ask questions you know the answer to. That's not the right thing to do. Sometimes, as I mentioned in my video about not justifying yourself, which was a couple of videos back, and I'll link that above, people will say outright, "How much is that bag worth?" And just be like very judgy. It's all in the tone and the body language, right? It's kind of how you decide whether or not you're going to answer that question. And then I'll say, "Well, how much do you think it's worth?" Or, "What made you notice it?" And then they'll have a crack at the price. And for most people, they probably wouldn't be comfortable disclosing the price. But one of the things that I do when I come across arrogance like that or rudeness is I just meet them where they're at, but in a very assertive way. So in my previous video, I'd say, "Oh, I really love this bag. Why would you ask me that question? Are you interested in buying one? Do you have your eye on something special?" Right? Sarcasm, kind of a bit smart-assy, but generally if they say, "How much was that bag?" and I say, "Why do you want to know?" And they might say, "Oh, well, I'm looking at this or I'm looking at that," in which case we'll play back and forth, kind of like The Price is Right, until they get the jackpot and do not win any prizes or probably respect from me. However, so I'm rambling on here. So I'm going to summarize this by saying If they ask you how much your bag is from a genuine place of admiring the bag and doing their own market research, and the prices aren't readily available online, then I'm happy to share. If they're asking how much it is because they're being judgy or arrogant, how much was that bag? Then I'm going to play the same kind of games as they are. At the end of the day, what I really want to move towards in terms of this video is, if you're going to ask someone how much something is, be really aware of your intentions for asking, and you'll get the reaction that you're looking for, especially if it's market research. If you're asking from a genuine place of you love the bag, you'd like to buy one yourself, and you'd like to know, what the going rate is, then I think that will be taken with the intention that it's meant in. If you're asking because you're wanting to push judgment or, start something with somebody, then you're probably going to get the same thing back. One of the things that I really want to do next time that someone asks me, how much was that bag? is go, oh, this? $5,550. And just see what happens, because I think it wouldn't go any further than that. What do you think? Civilians, I hope this is helpful for those of you who are handbag carriers and lovers, and you've come up against some of these situations. If you wouldn't deal with it the way that I do, how would you deal with it? Pop it in the comments down below. I'd really love to hear from you. It's been a fun couple of videos to do, so thanks again for the request, Hans. I truly appreciate it. And if you have any requests that you'd like me to cover in video format, of course. Why did I even say that? If you have any requests that you would like me to address in a video, please pop them in the comments below. Send me a DM on Instagram at DaylesAddiction, or send me an email, DaylesAddiction@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out videos on Wednesdays and Sundays. I will see you next time. Bye.